Well, hello again, and welcome to Brody Moore's podcast. You all know me as LiefX, or most of you at least. And if you're coming from outside the Rocket League scene, well, welcome. We love to have you here. But we are focusing in on this podcast on Rocket League personalities for now, and hopefully we'll start spreading out with maybe bonus episodes here and there with other people. But the point of it is to sit down, talk, have a conversation, and see where things go. If you do like just listening to audio, you can head over. We are on a Spotify, it's me. I have this on Spotify now. You can head over there and let's just get into it. We already hear him right behind it. You know who it is right now with that laugh is Dazerin. He's on the show today. Well, welcome, man. Thanks for joining me, dude.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate always being invited to these.
Well, do you now? This is actually the roast of Dazerin. And you, no, I'm kidding.
like people just come out of nowhere and just like, I remember when. I'm like, oh no.
We got 10 people on the line right now. Bringing our first guest. No, that's not what it is.
Crazy.
Look at his face. He's like, I'm already over this.
Right.
I'm already over this. But yeah, no, I just want to sit down and have a conversation because I try to learn stuff from everyone that's on here. I think that's the biggest thing is it's selfish. I like to learn things or more about people in the community. First off, I got to say I'm proud we had a panic moment. You couldn't find your phone for like a good 10 minutes before we hit record.
You know, that was tough. I didn't know where my phone was. That's really all I can say. We spent maybe a year, about maybe like five. I'd say 5.
It was an hour. No, okay.
I hope it wasn't.
But
yeah, we ended up finding it at the end of the day, all because I was just trying to move to make my background cleaner.
Yeah,
that was what it stemmed from.
Yeah, well, I that's why I asked before. I'm like, I got the wide cam, but I can keep it on the split if you want. I'm like, I'll crop out whatever. We'll green screen it.
No, I don't care. I did laundry. If people want to complain about me having clean clothes on my bed, they can do that. I don't care.
Yeah, I am not. My question is, on a regular day, do you fold your clothes? Because I do not.
On a regular day, yeah, because I feel like I don't. I feel like I have so many clothes.
It's just like a burden. It's
I don't have room to put everything. Like you can even kind of see it too, like in the background a little bit. Like there's clothes folded here, but then there's like 3 totes stacked up. There's a tote over here. I've got 2 bags in the closet. My closet's so small. I need to move. That's the truth. But I haven't. So
why haven't you?
Well, it's mainly for family reasons.
True.
My sister, it's me and my sister right now. And my sister's very comfortable. Like she has separation anxiety.
Okay. Yeah.
So having me here at home kind of makes her more comfortable when coming from school to home on a daily basis. So it's really just based off that.
Yeah.
I think she's starting to get to a point where she'll be a little bit more comfortable. We have to see. But yeah, either way, I have outgrown this place for sure.
Yeah.
So it is time for me to do my own thing, see what that life is like.
It's about time Mr. Dazerin moves into the mansion that he bought 3 years ago.
Just not a mansion. Not a mansion. Now, keep in mind, there have been times where I have been like house hunting, and I've seen some really nice houses. James Bott wants me to move to Michigan so bad.
Yeah, you know what? I'm down for that because that's more of all of you in the same spot as me, and then I can just hop on over. I think he's like a 6-hour drive or something from me. So
yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
like, but there's just nothing for me in Michigan. Like Chicago. Now, keep in mind, I'm saying this today. There was a bunch of like crazy news going on in Chicago.
Yeah,
and I guess it even prompted Mr. Tate to tweet about Chicago as well, which I really don't give a fuck about, but.
The Chicago or what he has to say about it?
Kind of, well, definitely what he has to say about it for sure. But yeah, there was a couple of shootings downtown over the weekend.
Shit.
And and obviously that's a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I streamed today and people started calling me political commentator. I was like, I don't feel like a political commentator. I just feel like a civilian. Like
you're just talking about shit happening in your city.
This happened in my city. Like, like I don't. But yeah, Chicago's definitely not the prettiest place to live in all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think anywhere is, but yeah, for Chicago, it definitely seems like that's the case sometimes. And I've thought about that, of course, like just about the safety of myself and my family.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Chicago has like a little bit of everything in it to where it's like it's a really great city. You can go to the beach. You can go to Six Flags in Northern Illinois if you want to. Downtown's nice. The city, like the nightlife is nice. The day-to-day, the food is amazing. Definitely the food for me. I haven't found food in Chicago from anywhere else.
I still have one of the best burgers I ever had when I was there.
Yep. Guess what? Oh my God, because you went to Au Cheval.
Au Cheval, yeah.
Yep. I took Asfura, Roll Diz, Arsenal, Fisher, and Fakey, Ghost Coach, to Au Cheval. Yeah. And Asfura said it was the best burger he had in his life.
Hell yeah.
Like, you just can't beat that.
No,
like,
that's good shit, man.
It's starting to get international.
Yeah. But it's spreading the world nationwide. I still have photos of it. I show it to people sometimes because I'm just, it was so good. I'm like, oh, you got to at least look at this. But like the bacon, it was like sweet glaze. It's so thick. It's like an Irish cut bacon. The burger, like just watching them cook it right in front of you too, is just, I don't know. It was something about it. It was good. If you're, I'm saying this as being there only once. I would say go, if you're ever in Chicago, go to Au Cheval and get a burger there.
It's spelled AU space CHEVAL.
Au Cheval, French.
Yep. They actually opened a place near my house called Small Cheval.
Small Cheval, yeah.
Yep. So I'm low key. I get hungry, I go over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I've also had to. I've been ordering out as much recently. I've been focusing on a lot of my health. These days, in the gym a lot more. This is a protein shake.
I was actually going to ask.
Yep. I'm going to the grocery store later because I just used the last of my oat milk. Like, it's like that.
Oh wow. Okay. I see. I can't do oat milk. I don't know what I just. Yeah.
Like the taste?
Yeah, I don't like the taste. I don't like the taste.
Oh, that's fair. I actually do like the taste, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. I mean that's good. Because I can't. But yeah, that's good that the health, because like I've said it a few times on the show here before, but my partner Tesla and I we do a lot of meal prepping. Like we try to before, especially with like when we were when I was traveling so much. Like RLCS used to be every single weekend. And it was just so easy to order out, because when you get I was only home like maybe 3 days a week, so it's like I would just order out. Like there's no point in getting groceries. But now I'm like, I got to break that habit, because like first off, it's expensive. And then secondly, it's just like, it's really not that hard, especially if you're meal prep. You ever do meal preps, or do you just like kind of cook per meal?
Well, I think I'm gonna start kind of getting into more meal prepping, which is why like I'm gonna go out on like 3 different grocery stores today, just because all of them have like different things that I want here and there.
Fair.
And then just trying to do that. I've been fairly new to me, but I've been keeping up, starting to diet better. So I want to try to transfer that into the food. I don't want to like hardcore meal prep. I know there's some people who like eat like literally like the same stuff every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I could get some variety in that, I'd be a lot happier.
Yeah. Well, what we tried doing is like we get 2 recipes. We each pick a recipe, and then we cook them either at the same time or one day, one the next day, and then you got 5 days of different meals. And then we also have like, every once in a while, just like some frozen pierogies or something in the freezer, or you just make a sandwich with like lunch meats or something, right? So you can divvy it up. But I can understand like some people don't like eating like it does. If you try to eat the same thing every single day, like I see people like working out and stuff, and then they'll eat chicken and rice every day. I'm like, how do you do that?
I can't. Like Raul does it. Well, I don't know if he does it every day, but I know like some people who do it every day. I'm just like,
nah.
I can't. I will say though, dieting does let you appreciate food a lot more. Now, I've always loved food. Like, I think food, it's like food and music to me are one of some of the greatest things on the planet, because good food and what it brings to you, like good food gives you emotions.
Yeah.
Same thing as good music. And it's one of these things that are in our lives every day. But when you really take a look at it and appreciate it, it's just that much better. So, me being on the diet too as well has also made me like appreciate just food in general.
Yeah.
And wanting to do more in terms of like cooking and things of that nature.
Yeah. Have you cooked a lot in your life, or is this like a new venture for you, like trying to like?
Oh,
okay.
You kidding me? I was a chef.
Okay.
I'm a chef. You can ask some of those pros. When we used to have like the little vacations with the pros, because they didn't know how to cook, so I would cook.
Of course.
Oh man, there's this crazy story of me cooking. We had a vacation in Tampa.
Okay.
And there's like 11 of us. And I'm trying to figure out how much.
Is this the one that was like last year or something, or like year and a half?
No, this was like, damn, it's gonna be a long time from now. Now it's got to be like 3 years or 2 years.
Okay.
And what happened? Oh yeah, so I tried to cook enough like taco stuff for everybody. Like I got the ground beef and everything, but I threw it all on like what had to have been it all perfectly fit on the pan.
Okay.
But that was the problem, was that it perfectly fit, so there wasn't that much room for it once it started cooking.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't think that through. So I was like trying to figure out how to finesse this. I was like, oh, I got to figure out how to make this one work. I don't really know. We made it work. There were some bomb tacos. But you can ask them about my tacos, my baked mac and cheese, 3 cheese, baked mac and cheese, really good. I will say this right now. If you use breadcrumbs on your mac and cheese, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, I guess we're ending this podcast episode.
Because
I love it, man.
It's called mac and cheese, Brody.
Yeah.
Not mac, cheese, and breadcrumbs. Macaroni, cheese.
Well, it's not the only two ingredients you put in there. You got to make a roux. There's butter in there as well. Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just mac and cheese in there.
Yes, but you're not tasting the butter, and you're not tasting everything else. You tasting the macaroni, and you tasting the cheese. When you add the breadcrumbs, it's too much. So then it's mac, cheese, and breadcrumbs. I
don't know. I'm gonna say about half of an experience with food is the texture, and I want a little bit of that crunch on it. I want a little bit of something else in there.
That's not what it's supposed to be.
What do you mean it's supposed to be?
It's not supposed to be that way. You're not supposed to have breadcrumbs. It's not supposed to have that chunk.
Are you going to tell me? You ever had a seafood mac and cheese? You ever had lobster in there as well? What's wrong with that? That's got to be wrong then too. It's not mac and cheese.
Honestly, it is. I think it is too. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like the little lobster, the mac and cheese. But it's not if somebody asks me what's a good mac and cheese, I'm gonna go with my mac and cheese.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If your mac and cheese is so good, I need to try it sometime, and it better be the best thing ever that I get converted off breadcrumbs.
Oh, it absolutely will.
I'm hard standing by breadcrumbs right now.
It absolutely will. I'll change your life.
All right. Okay. We need this settled in the comments, please.
Do you know I mix my mac and cheese up so much that it's like, because I feel like when I cook it, it's like good cooking is based on the chef, and the chef putting love into the food.
Yeah.
The chef has put love, so I'll be mixing that thing. You're going to feel that passion when you eat that mac and cheese, okay?
Yeah.
We started.
All right, I'll show. You know what? I haven't. All I've eaten today is like 2 grapes and some cashews. So now I'm really hungry. We started on the wrong conversation. I gotta go to the next bit with thinking about this mac and cheese though. I bet you it's still delicious, but I don't know, breadcrumbs, man. I'm on that. Okay, you know what? I'm keeping it on. I want to see if we can keep the controversial topics going. Back to Chicago. I don't think deep dish pizza is real pizza.
Oh, well, that's not an argument.
Okay, good. Okay. At least you're a little bit reasonable.
Yeah, like for me, I've never liked deep dish pizza. I live here. I don't like deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
I've never tried New York pizza. I've always wanted to, but no, I order thin crust. Are you kidding me? But there's like some really good pizza spots in Chicago that do thin crust really well.
Regular, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of places like Italian Fiesta, Beggars. There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
They do thick crust really well. People who like deep dish, it's like you have to eat pizza with a fork.
Yeah, and it's like I get halfway through a slice and I'm like, I'm done for the week. There's my caloric intake, you know?
Yeah.
It's
I'm like,
cheese.
I don't. Yeah.
You'll be backed up for 2 days.
Yeah, I don't really understand the deep dish truthers, to be honest. I tried it one time, and the first time I tried it, I knew I was like, I'm not gonna like this.
I'm not subscribing to this.
I'm not. If there's a choice to do something else, I'm doing something else.
That was great. Yo, you know what just made me think, it's like I want to have like a cook-off. Like I want everyone to bring like a dish or two and like have a get together and have a cook off now.
A cook off is tough because a cook off is a competition. Now I would like a potluck. Or
I'll
like
do more
that.
potluck maybe, but like
yeah,
I don't know. I want to do that.
Would be. I feel like that would be gas. Like if everybody brought some stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to say we're talking about this. I need to say James Bott's dad.
Okay.
Makes the best pizza. He's made the best pizza I've ever had in my life. We're talking thin crust. He has in his house a pizza oven in his house. I've seen it.
Nice. Okay.
I've seen him make a pizza from scratch in front of me. Everything. It was delicious. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then on top of that, his barbecue sauce. Fat Mike's barbecue sauce. I got one in my kitchen right now. I'd make sure I'm never out of stock.
Oh, really? Okay.
I need some nutrition facts on it though, because it might be making me.
You're like, what is it?
I don't know what's in here, but what I do know is that's the best barbecue sauce I've ever had either.
Damn, so, that's high praise.
It is high praise. I used to be a Sweet Baby Ray's kind of barbecue sauce person.
Okay.
But I had James dad. I was like, what the heck? I need this.
Yeah.
This is necessary. I think I'm going back out to Michigan soon to visit James. So I might try to re-up on some, but
yeah, I'm okay now. When I'm out there, I'm gonna because I plan on getting out there soon too. So I'm gonna have to make sure I.
When you say soon, how soon? Do you know?
I'm talking about probably and then hopefully in the next month or something.
Okay, I'm talking about in the next week.
And next week, okay. I don't know if I'll be out there that soon.
That's why I was like, we going out there at the same time? Like, you going out there for the same thing? I'm going out there for like, what's going on?
No. I'm just going out there to hang out and visit. But
okay.
Yeah, that'd be sick to if we could coordinate at some point.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of driving to Michigan. It's like a 3-hour drive, and I'm not like it's a lot for me.
Okay.
The first time was fine. Second time was chill. I just don't like the long drives. It really just depends on when I'm out there. It's mainly just the trucks on the road, and sometimes just like random debris on the road too.
Fair.
So I just get a little iffy about it.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say 3 hours is like after all the traveling we've done. 3 hours is like nothing to me now, but I can understand just not like being on the road because it's
exactly.
It's just inherently it is more dangerous. I was gonna say Niagara Falls is like 2 hour and a half, 2 hours from me, and we'll just drive there in a day and back. No price, just like that could be a day trip in itself. So it's like 3 hours of driving total. But yeah, no, I don't know. You just get any European listeners listening are like, what? That's 3 countries across. I'm like,
I know, right?
They hear North Americans talking. They're like, what do you mean you drove 3 hours to get to the beach? What do you mean to get to the store? Yeah, it took me an hour to get to the movies. Yeah, it's just those longer stretches are not that hard for North Americans. All right, I want to. I had more questions about the food too, but actually, I do want to ask those. So just in terms of like, working out and all that stuff, and just looking at diet and that, was there something that prompted it, or is it just like, hey, it's something that we should be focusing on?
I was getting fat. The fuck? Like, well, I wasn't actually getting fat. Everybody told me I'm like really skinny, but yeah, I think I started to have a dad bod a little bit, but I was getting kind of frustrated with. I used to be very athletic. I used to play soccer for 7 years, baseball for 7 years, football, a little bit of basketball. I'm not that good at basketball, I'll admit that, but I just don't like getting tired easily when it comes to like doing things that are activities or running and things like that. It bothers me. I want to be able to.
You don't have to be out of. Yeah. No, I feel it. I mean, because like I just recently too. I mean, like I noticed that even I'm trying to go for at least walks recently, but I noticed sometimes I was carrying something up and down stairs, and I'm like, I should not be out of breath at this point right now. So I felt that too.
So it's just like, making sure. And, well, actually, to be honest, I just really have this like affinity of wanting to be as fit as I was when I was playing sports, and if possible, to get even more active than I was then. Because I was also, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I was kind of lazy at practice. So I want to actually get to a point where, you know, if I'm racing people in Rocket League type thing, like everybody knows, like, oh, this dude's speedy. Type
watch
stuff.
out.
So, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to get on.
Is there some sort of like underground racing ring that's starting up that I'm aware of that you need to start preparing for?
No. Okay. I think my biggest thing is like everyone is always talking and doing all this yapping, and you know the kids. Ah, man, the fact I'm calling them the kids. But you know that they're always, oh yeah, I'm good at this and I'm good at this and woo, woo, woo. But I want to be able to be like, I'm probably faster than you, and they'll be like, no, you're not. I'll dust you and be like, you sure about that? Sure. And then they see me, and then they're, pew. Yeah, I can get them.
A little surprise. Yeah, I like that. Catch them off guard. You got to have something in the pocket. Yeah, I think it's just like, well, I also realized too, you talk about saying, oh, the kids. How do you think I feel right now, man? I'm over 30 now, and everything's aching. I need to. That's what motivated me. Everything just started hurting. Like, I need this to not happen right now.
Like, yeah, I'm walking my dog and my lower back's hurting. I'm like, what, bro? We are walking around the block. Like, what is going on? See, I'll tell everybody here, especially the younger ones, once you hit, I'd say 25.
You're just going to start paying a little more attention.
Yeah, 25 is the big age, right? Of course, the whole frontal lobe developing thing, but also your body's like, yeah, all right, if you ain't been taking care of it, it's not going to take care of you.
No, yeah.
And that's the kind of conversation you need to decide for yourself. Don't let it get out of control early.
Yes.
You know, because then that makes it a lot harder.
Some people might like deal with it like their body. Like, here's the thing: I'm fairly inactive, and relatively my body deals with it fine. But as you said, too, a little bit of that dad bod coming in, and you're like, okay, I need to not. But like, it might affect some other people more, but it still will. No matter what your metabolism, it still will hit you. No one gets away from it.
Yeah,
there's no one's free from that. That's good though. Do you find that, like, even just in general, eating better? Because I found this worked for me. Eating better, and whatever working out you're doing helps just the mood a lot. Because I noticed my mood went way up.
I would say going to the gym helps my mood out a lot. Because if there's something that's on my mind that bothers me, it just encourages me to work harder. That way I can output and perform when I need to in the gym, and sometimes push myself. I have a very push myself mindset in everything I do. I'm not really super. It's really hard for me to be kind of like satisfied with something.
Yeah.
But I am starting to change that because it does get unhealthy after a point. So I've started to change that. But what I do in terms of working out, I feel like working out is a perfect place for me to, be able to push myself further, because I know that my body and isn't where I want it to be. And as long as I'm not doing anything super dangerous and causing an injury, I can go that extra distance. So it kind of works out.
Don't be doing no CrossFit, attaching weights to ropes and swinging them around.
Lifting some bleachers up or something.
Some like, people, Jesus. Man, some of the shit I've seen in the gym.
Bruh. Thankfully, my gym's not like that, but it does get kind of crowded sometimes. I hate crowded gyms.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't like. The hard thing is, like, I'd rather work out at home, but because, like, for me, it's like, it's just hard for me to tell myself to leave the house and go down the street and get into the gym and like dedicating that time. I don't know, having something like, I want to get that. It's not available in Canada yet, but there's that wall mounted thing called Tonal. And it's got a bunch of workouts. It's all magnetic. So it's like the same resistance on all the pulls, like through, it doesn't like change. So, I want to get that because that to me, I could be like, okay, I got 10 minutes. I'm not doing anything right now. Let me just go lift some weights real quick, you know? And like, but dedicating that next hour and a half to go into the gym, it just, I never could commit to it.
That's tough. I know even like for me now, there's like days where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go or not, but
it's easy to stop.
Like, yeah, it's easy to stop. But also I think the thing about it for me is like, it's a discipline thing. Like I'm training my body, but at the same time I'm training my mind.
Yeah.
because I feel like mind, body, and spirit is very important to take care of as a person.
Yeah, you need a whole cohesive unit.
Right. I know guys who are very buff who are idiots. Like just dumb. I know people who are very smart who are living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Yep.
And they're smart enough to know it, but they don't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see people who have both knowledge and physical, but at the same time their spirit's low and they're just like sad all the time or something of that nature, and they don't know how to like take care of like their mental well-being. So it's like all those things are very important as a person just living in this world, especially the kind of world we live in, because it's so easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing online. That you get tunnel vision and you don't pay attention to yourself. So being able to, as best you can, use the tools that you have to increase that, like, is so valuable. I wish a lot of people saw that.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Then back to, we were looking for your you were looking for your phone before, and like that's a thing that I think you were just mentioning the word. It's so easy for us to watch other people's lives, and people just put out the best parts of their lives. They're not always sharing, so you see like, whoa, everyone else's life is perfect. It's very hard to keep yourself grounded in that. Do you do anything with your phone? Like, say, for instance, don't look at it for a while, lock yourself out of apps after a certain amount of time. I started adding timers to my apps. I can only use Twitter and Reddit for a certain amount of time of the day. Sometimes I'll just leave my phone. I think it is here right now, but usually it's in the other room. I don't look at it for 6 hours. And I found that's helped a lot to detach myself from that world. It's obviously hard in our work because like our jobs revolve around that kind of stuff. But have you done anything to try to detach yourself from looking at other people's perfect lives?
No. Mainly because I think my timeline is full of people that I know.
Okay.
Like, I have a very curated kind of timeline.
Gotcha.
And it's either that or it's just memes.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's not like I don't follow celebrities. I don't care about that type of stuff. I don't really follow a lot of people online anyways, unless I know them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm just not fake like that. Like, if I don't know you, why would I want to know what you're tweeting? Like, people on my stream today were sitting there like, oh my God, you don't follow Itachi? He just won the Winter Major. No, why would I follow Itachi? I don't know anything. I don't know him. The only time I've talked to him is on interviews.
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to see what he has to tweet? Mm-hmm. It doesn't benefit me. My job is to talk about him as a player on the field.
Yeah.
So I don't like this stuff. Doesn't matter if he tweets something interesting. You guys are gonna blow it up anyways. So I could just wait until it blows up, and then a lot of people are gonna talk about it anyways. So in terms of like, I feel like that's important to my mental health. To if I am online, I want to see things that aren't too crazy or anything like that. But excuse me. But I think the biggest thing for me though is I'm constantly reminding myself to be present anyways. Like. Mm-hmm. People sit there and they worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But I always try to figure out, okay, what's going on today? Who am I talking to? How can I make today a great day? I try to be like a very like present focused person because for a long time, like years, I've always thought about the future and like what's going to happen and how do I need to handle this specific situation and things like that. But right now, all I care about is I'm having a conversation with Brody right now. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. I'm not thinking about like anything else. My phone's face down. I'm not really worried about anything else except for this right now. So I think it's just kind of like my mindset thing. But I know that I've had a lot of time to develop that because I've cared about it so much. I've cared about things like this ever since I was in like high school, like when I was 14. So I've had a lot of time with it. Yeah. Versus other people, like that's a really hard change to make. Oh, huge. And so I don't really expect the things that I'm saying for a lot of people to get or understand. But that's just kind of like my perspective on it all, where I've have it set up to where if I'm looking at my phone, it's so I can see something new. Mm-hmm. But it's never even I'll recognize when I'm doom scrolling.
Yeah, you're falling into the trap of dopamine
where you're just
release.
Like yeah. It's like I open Instagram, I open Twitter. okay. Oh, I opened Instagram. Wait, I'm on Instagram again? I just
Yeah.
closed this. You know, it's like, okay, now I realize I'm on Instagram this many times. Like, let me switch something up. I gotta do something different.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
That's a good check to have in place because we all fall, like literally, no matter how aware you are, you will fall into the trap of opening a thing you just closed and be like, what am I doing? But a lot of people can't step away. They'll be like, okay, well, let me keep. And that's why,
That's crazy.
I won't install it. This is why TikTok is so dangerous, is because their algorithm has been perfected so much that after they actually did studies that with bots that after 30 to 40 minutes of scrolling, it already had perfect profiles of what they had set out these bots' personalities to be. And it fed it. If a bot tended to, if say you gave it a depressive mind state, it would start showing you more and more depressive things, which honestly could exasperate the problem. But it started showing you stuff very relevant. So it's getting out of that trap, especially on that app, is very hard, but in general is very hard.
Yeah, I never understood the TikTok craze. Oh, I sound old, but I have TikTok on my phone and I've used that. I've posted on it a couple times.
Yeah.
But I've never been the person. I know people who've been on TikTok all the time. I know people who literally post like selfie videos of them on TikTok constantly, which I just, but I never have like really got the hype about it. So I never fell into it. Like the kind of like, I won't say gimmick, but the trend. I never fell into the trend. And most of the time, the reason I have it is because when people send me TikToks, I can just open them easily. Like that's about it. And then sometimes I'll go and I'll find something funny. But I think when I find something funny on TikTok or anything, I'm one of those people who share it with everyone.
Yeah.
So I literally have like 10 to 15 people that I'll send something to. So now I've sent this to everyone. And that takes up so much time. I just don't have time.
You don't go back in.
Yeah, I don't have time to like scroll all day. I'm
he's found the secret to breaking the TikTok algorithm.
Doctors won't believe this.
This one trick. Yeah, that's great. But I think your mentality of trying to stay present is the right thing to do. Like that's what everyone should strive to do because. And everyone has to come to this realization themselves to understand something. You just can't be taught a math formula and then get it right and be like, oh, that makes sense. You have to understand the pieces and it's got to click in your head. You know that wonderful click when you finally get something. The same thing comes to perspective in life and how you view the world and how you view your presence in that world. And the one thing that I've always helped I got this from a buddy. RainX, Bernard, he was a Smash Brothers player, and his whole thing was four corners. So how does he focus on the game and make sure distractions don't bother him when he feels like he's getting distracted? He pays attention to the four corners of the screen. I kind of pulled that out of the world, the digital world, and said, okay, well, when I feel like I'm too entrenched in the digital world and my mind isn't here in this room, I look around and I say, look at the four corners of the wall around me, and it brings me present again. This digital right now, if my computer turned off, I'd be very sad because I'm enjoying talking to you, but we wouldn't be talking anymore. Right? You're not physically in this space. To pull yourself away from those conversations, when you're not at the computer on your phone, some people are still in that world. Their mind isn't right here. They're thinking about that conversation they had with someone or that thing they're doing tomorrow or whatever, and they're not present here now.
You know what? The thing that I do whenever I feel like I need to be present is I look at my hands.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're bringing yourself into the. Honestly, that's just like sounds like the most stoner thing. I just look at my hands, man.
Well, yeah, it does, right? Oh my god, it does. But it's like I think of it like when you play a video game, and I think VR helped me with this too.
Okay.
But it's like for me, like when you're playing a video game and you're like first person game and your guy crashes and then the guy like looks at his hands and sees his hands and then next thing you know you just start playing. It's like taking that like a little glimpse and just realize like, dang, these are my hands.
You're not helping the stoner statement.
I know I'm not, but like, I'm just saying, like looking at the hands sometimes it kind of does something to you. It really like locks you in. Bro, look at your hands right now.
I'm looking. Everybody look at your hands. Wow. Those are my hands.
Feel it?
Yeah.
You feel it? Like it's weird too, because I think it has something to do with like your eyes focusing. Like your eyes is focusing on something close to you that's also yours that you can also feel and stuff like that.
I think honestly, it's not far off the principle of the four corners, right?
Yeah.
Like it's you're saying, okay, this exists in my world. I can hit this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I can't touch anything in your room right now. It's not here, right? So yeah, bringing yourself in and present is, I think real important.
What's the other thing? So casting Rocket League, especially at the LANs recently, if you guys haven't, for those who are watching, if you guys have followed the RLCS, there have been live events. And in those live events, the casters have been posting a little bit more photos than normal. That's because I have a guy who's working with me named Caleb.
Shout out to Caleb, yep.
Shout out Caleb. Caleb goes around, he records casters commentating, and he is also taking photos of them. He's helping me out. I'm doing basically a documentary of the season.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been going around. I interviewed you on Rotterdam, of course. Got some more at San Diego. But the thing about it is especially San Diego, and especially during that final, I can see him. Like I'm casting, and I see a camera right above the monitor I'm looking at, and I'm like, oh. There's Caleb there. But I can't think about that because I'm talking to over 100,000 people right now. So I need to focus in on this game.
Yeah,
but I see the camera kind of like peek up over like, I'm recording you. I'm like, what the, so jarring. So the way I lock in during casting Rocket League is I get mad.
Okay.
And yeah, I get mad. I have this like face that I make. And it's not like real mad. Like, yeah, I'm not actually mad at anything. Yeah. But I get myself into this like mindset. Yeah, it's just this like mindset of where I feel like I have something to prove or something like that.
Yeah, let it all
Or where
out.
like, yeah, or where I'm like, okay, I got to show people like who I am type shit.
That's cool. Okay.
So I'll zone in that way, and then everything kind of just like disappears around me. It's just me and a monitor, and Stacks is over there somewhere. And we'll do our thing.
You'll never not know where he is. You can always hear him.
yeah, facts. So
that's interesting because it's quite the opposite of making yourself present. You now need to. I mean, you're present, but you know that your presence means talking to the rest of the world, right? Like you're
right. And when you're in that situation, you can't. It's almost like you can't be present. Like if you're, or at least for me, if I'm present and I realize the weight of what I'm doing and where I'm standing and what I'm saying, then I overthink.
Yeah, you cycle on itself. Yeah.
And then at that point, I'm busy thinking about, oh my God, this is so cool, and not talking about the match.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be, we're talking about the match. We're supposed to be getting everybody locked in and putting them in this situation in this room and telling them about why this is so important and why they don't need to look away from that screen.
Yeah.
So for me, I got to get in there. I got to get like zoned in. It's like I need to be on the field myself.
Yeah.
So it's like getting in there, understanding it, and showing like that passion when we're on the call. Like that's like something that's so valuable that I have to do the opposite of what I do nowadays. Which is like I said,
zen
remove. Yeah, I gotta zen out. I gotta not be present. I gotta be present, but only in this tiny circle that I've created.
Yeah.
Which is me, the monitor, and Stacks, and what's going on there, and Johan when he talks to us in the ear.
Yeah.
Besides that, like I don't care about anything else. I don't care about what Twitch chat's saying. I don't care if the dude behind me just puked. Unless that needs to be said on the broadcast, then I'll say it on the broadcast. But besides that, I'm locked in. Like that's just how I operate.
It's cool. Yeah, you're stoking your own flames. Like you're. I understand what you mean. It's angry, but it's not angry. It's focused energy.
Like I got out of it was Saturday because our schedule was a little iffy, at least for me, because me and Stacks did last match on Saturday, and then last match was Sunday. So we didn't really cast that. We casted a decent amount the first couple of days, but Saturday, Sunday was like just 2 last matches. So it was like, okay, you got to go into it and bring everything into that. Now, keep in mind, we were able to get on the mic before then. Obviously, I do first such pre-show stacks intros like every damn team. So we have like time to get on the mic and talk and get there. But when you're on the cast, those are completely different situations. And it was Saturday. I came out of Saturday. I felt really good about Saturday, but I was just I was still locked in. It was really hard for me to get out of it. And I was, Spaceman walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, yeah, you okay?" I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just mad, but I'm not mad. Like, I'm not mad at you or anything else right now. I'm just mad. I was like, to give you an example, no one did anything wrong to me, but once I got off the cast, I put my headset up. I said, "Stop fucking playing with me." But nobody was playing with me. Everybody, like there's no one who's like, you know what I'm saying? There's like no one who's like, upset at me or anything like that. But I was just still like in that zone, and so I had to get out of that zone and pull myself out of that zone, which it took a little bit of a minute.
That's interesting.
That's what I got to do if I want to be able to like bring that energy to matches that deserve it.
No, that's good because like it sounds like basically what you're doing is you're getting yourself into your flow state, and I find that something that I'm constantly always trying to. I found some methods that help get me into flow state, but it's interesting to get yourself out of it because usually people again have the opposite problem. They can't get into flow state and they can lose it real easily. But for you, you're like, I can't stop. I can't stop flowing.
I was like, why am I still mad? Stop being mad.
That's too good.
I was walking around. I was just like in this like mode for a minute. I was like, I need to get back to the hotel room, lay down or something. I need somebody to make a joke. Help.
That means your method works. That's really interesting. Because like, again, everyone has their own. Someone could probably come up to you and say, "Hey, here's my method." And maybe it'll work for you, but you're never going to know it until you do it yourself and find out those little intricacies yourself.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone to kind of find out what works for them too, because especially if you know it works for you, you get that confidence. Now, I'm the type of person who I'll listen to what anyone has to say for the most part until you start talking crazy. But I'll at least consider a lot of people's perspectives and how they go about things and everything of that nature. But if it's about something that I know works for me, if someone's giving me advice, but I've been successful without their advice, the chance of me taking their advice isn't really going to be that high because I'm like, well, like I'll listen to it and I'll consider it because I don't want to be disrespectful and not, consider someone else's opinion.
And you may also learn something, but
you never know, exactly. Right? And I love being able to like learn more and more about myself and like life every day. But if it's about something that I'm confident in, then I'm just sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to what I got because it's what got me this far anyways.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, unless the thing that you are doing is like negatively impacting someone else, then maybe you should think about it. But like, but if it's not, and it lets you live a life that's better for yourself or that you're able to, works for you, then there really is no point. Maybe there's a piece you can pull to add to what you're already doing. But if what you're already doing is working right now, then you're right. There is no reason. But I think it's good that you still at least listen, because the second that you say, no, I know how to do something, and then you stop listening, is the point where you can get complacent. Because what if that thing you are doing that's working stops working and you've just ignored all other previous advice, right?
So for me, it's like if something I'm doing isn't working, then I'm like, all right, let me try what bro said and see if that works. And then it might work, it might not work. And then if it does work, I'm like, okay, that kind of worked. I might start using that a little bit more. And then I'll give bro credit somewhere if I can, be like, yo, bro, he said this, that thing worked. I liked what bro said. Yep. And if it didn't work, I'm just not gonna say nothing.
There's no point here. Why would you tell me that? Your advice sucks.
I'm like, bro, it wasn't for me, bro. Well, I mean, if it's like a one-on-one thing, then fine. But I'm talking about more of like in a bigger picture. Like I'll make a tweet or something like, yo, that was some really good advice. I might need to listen to him, stuff like that.
Can you imagine just every time someone gives you advice, you get on Twitter and be like, bro, this guy's terrible advice. Don't listen to him.
Oh my God. People would not talk to me anymore.
That'd be awful.
I gotta be careful. He's tweeting everything.
And so it sounds like, honestly, you have a lot of good, or I say good methods, or at least a mentality, a perspective on the world And I'm probably saying good because I agree with a lot of them. So, but it's like, I feel like it took probably a long time to figure a lot of these things out. When did you feel like things started clicking a little bit more? Because obviously early 20s is like a lot of self-discovery.
You know? When you say things start clicking, what do you mean?
Well, just like you know some of the methods that work for you. Just your idea that, hey, I like to listen. Even the idea of like the perspective of listening to people, but knowing you don't have to accept all advice. You can accept parts of it. Bringing yourself present. Like all of these things, these outlooks on life generally come over time.
Yeah, they do. I don't know if there's been a specific moment. I think it's just like little things have their own time, and in that specific areas, I was like, okay, cool. Like this works. Okay, cool. This. Like I have been through a lot. Like I just like as a person, and very young in my life too, which kind of helped me because I was able to learn important lessons
earlier
at a young age. So now, and then I also hung around like a lot of older people. So I would hang around older people, and then they would give me their sage wisdom, kind of, you know. So, I took everything I learned, and then because I've always been a quick learner, so I've taken it and just kind of applied it forward. Now, sure, I might forget stuff. Sure, sometimes things need to change or things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could ever say things like this whole mentality mindset thing clicked as a whole, because again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I feel like I'm always trying to learn.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I feel like I have a good grasp on things, but I wouldn't say I have everything figured out.
No, of course. Yeah, of course not. I think anyone would be absurd to try and claim that, right? But
yeah, I mean,
he's like, I know some people.
Right. There's people who try. Trust and believe that one.
Yeah, no, it's just, I think that's a good thing you brought up too, is that, and this is why I think the best way to teach people stuff or to share stuff is never to expect, when you say you want to give advice to someone, never expect them to either A, adopt that at all, or B, be able to adopt it immediately, because people, as I said, people need to discover those things on their own. But I think it does definitely help, as you have said, to be guided in a certain way, or be told these things early on, that you can start experimenting with those methods in your life early on. So having that guidance, I think, is so crucial, I think, to being able to have that early growth or stability mentally as well.
I think, some of it comes from, like I said, talking to older people. Some of it comes from video games too. Like back when people were making good ass story modes in video games that had like lessons in them and shit. Like those used to be great for like the growth of as a person. And I take lessons from everything that I consume, whether it's music, whether it's anime, whether it's some video game storyline, or whether it's someone's their own experiences in life. Like there's so many things that you can learn from.
I like to keep learning all the time.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, that's important. Keep learning.
Yeah, for real.
So like, I guess mentally, would you say that? Because for me, I guess the way I kind of my outlook on life, the foundation, I guess, I wouldn't say was completely like what you build off of afterwards wasn't really there for me until probably my mid to late 20s. Like I had already had some good, but like perspectives, but it wasn't a stable perspective all the times. The way I perceived the world was still changing. Up to about it was about mid-20, probably about 25 when I started doing RLCS and that. But then that also came with this whole new changes. Do you feel like you've hit that? Like, have you had a few years of like, my perspective hasn't really changed much, but the lessons I'm learning are constantly changing? Or do you still find your perspective shifting a lot over the past couple of years?
Over the past couple of years, my perspectives don't really shift too much, but it's mainly because I'm dealing with a lot of younger people who are in a society that isn't really sympathetic towards them.
Yeah.
So as someone who is a very sympathetic person, I think the reason my perspective, I mean, and this again, my perspective, there are times where it has changed. There are people in my life who have like pushed that like a different perspective on me, and excuse me, and opened my eyes to a couple of things.
Yeah.
So there have definitely been times where I've been like, wow, and there's been times where I've even gone back to people in my life and been like, yo, I know this is completely random, and
you changed it.
Yeah, like, well, or it'd be like, yo, I know I haven't talked to you in forever, but there was something that happened between us, and something I like ended up learning.
Yeah.
That, like, looking back, like, man, I wish I would have known that here. Blah blah blah. Just kind of just showing the growth.
Yeah.
And trying to push that growth forward. So yeah, there's definitely been that time, but I think for me, most of it has been spent teaching people who have not gone through the things that I have gone through. It's just like, because I'd be dealing with some crazy people sometimes. And just kind of like recognizing situations and things of that nature, and just being like a guiding figure.
Yeah.
That's where most of it's been. So it's been hard for it to kind of shift a lot, because I've spent most of it just trying to guide others.
Yeah, something that took me. I think that's the biggest thing that, again, I developed in my late 20s was the level of patience that I have now is almost unprecedented. Because it's the same thing of like you learned. Someone told you something years ago, but you only clicked now. And I know that happens to people. People aren't always going to see it. And if you're immediately abrasive to someone or confrontational to someone about something they're doing wrong, they're not going to listen to you, and they're probably going to forget the lesson you try to teach them. So I try to be a lot more patient with people, and I just share my perspective, and whether they take it in or not, they don't. But I find people are going to be more apt to consider that perspective if it wasn't a confrontational moment in their life.
Yeah, which is hard.
Of course.
To be able to like have that patience towards someone, because, especially if there's like a situation that's going on that may seem initially urgent, but when you really think about it, you can take some time and think about this and let it breathe. So it is really hard. And everyone also perceives information differently. Some people, it is effective to get to them quickly, but that's just about knowing who you're talking to. Yeah, but I think as a general premise, though, being more patient is a good thing, because when people also see you and they see how you approach them, it kind of takes away any sort of, they're not becoming defensive. Instead, they're just observing, and then they're just listening, and then they can take in information a lot better that way. So yeah, I agree. That's definitely a good way to go about things.
But it's tough. I can understand it. Like I also don't think people, like, if someone's just being absolute dickbag to you, you don't really owe them the patience back, right? But so it's I also, when people don't have the patience, and I also don't blame them. So it's like
yeah, that's true. It's also hard when you're trying to do it with people that know you. Like, for example, my close friends, if they say something and I don't immediately react, then they kind of like, okay, what's the problem here? He didn't immediately react to it. They know. And right. So then it becomes like a little, I won't say it becomes tense, but it becomes like more of a, they're not listening to what I have to say. They're trying to figure out, they immediately think something's wrong because I haven't like immediately reacted to it.
Gotcha.
So for me, I have to like find like a balance of reacting quickly, but also reacting calmly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I think for me, at least, and maybe you have a different perspective on this, but for me, a lot of it, my patience comes from not being afraid to have a hard conversation, because I'm not going in with a preset, this person has to believe my way. I'm trying to go in with the perspective of a difficult conversation of, I need to at least listen to why this person thinks this way before, and then we just talk about that and we share our perspectives. I'm not going in to convince this person of anything. I just want us both to share perspectives. And all of a sudden, difficult conversations became a lot easier for me to have. Even just on the example of like, gamer friends that aren't in online and stuff. They're just old gamer friends that would still use like the R word or something, you know, like for slow, right? And like it's like that's something that's phased out of a lot of people's repertoire. But I'll talk to them and I'll call them out right away and say, hey, just so you know that, you know, that's not something that people really like to use anymore. A lot of people are hurt by this. And I'll say it right away. But some people are afraid if it's a close friend to even have a conversation like that because they're worried about, well, the confrontation and they don't know how to deal it. But I go in and say, okay, well, this is what I think, just so you know. You can tell me your perspective back. I just want to let you know. I'm not telling them to change, but I'm like, I just want to let you know what I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, and I think that's a quality of a good friend too, to be able to have those hard conversations. I respect a lot of people wanting to keep the peace, but when you do really care about someone, you don't want them to say or do something that is going to harm them or harm others, then I think that's very important to be able to bring that up and have those conversations about. So I think that's definitely the right approach on how to go about that.
Yeah, I think people, the perspective change for those conversations was, I'm not going to change their mind. I'm just going to tell them what I think about it. And that made things, I lost all the anxiety about those conversations. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an interesting shift.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I was going to say, I'm good at having hard conversations when I'm inebriated.
Your inhibition's out the window.
It's just like, all right, let's just talk about this. We need to talk about this right now. You did this and you said that, and like that wasn't okay.
Yeah, that
wasn't okay, because then at that point, I don't know why I decided to do that. Well, yeah, I do. It's just I think I overthink about it because I'll try to figure out how do I want to approach this, blah blah blah. But then I'm just sometimes I just want to go out and say it.
You just have to say it.
Sometimes, I'm gonna go out and say it. And I'm like, look, if you want to argue with me over you saying a word you ain't supposed to be saying, well, guess what? That is on you. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I did my part. I tried to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
But of course, then it goes back to the whole, defensive, confrontational, all that stuff. So, is it effective? No. Would I recommend it? No. But I still keep doing it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Hey, and again, as I said, at the end of the day, you got to do what you think's right, and sometimes it's not easy just to sit there and
yeah, like okay, at the end of the day, if it's something that is very definitely super serious, then that's a conversation I'm having, and I'm going to continue to have no matter what state I'm in, because that's just the type of person I am. I care about my friends' well-being.
Yeah,
and I mean, shoot, even in my life right now, like my friends, a lot of my friends are going through stuff.
Yeah. And
I want to be there for them and be able to help them and support them. Now, there's some of them I want to yell at and I want to curse out because I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? Like, you're doing the same thing you criticize somebody else for doing.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. But sometimes too, you have to kind of let people like go through life and learn things their own way. And I could talk your head off, but if you've already made up your mind, then I can't waste my energy. And, I care about my peace, my own personal peace.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disrupt that trying to help you out or do, just to do something that you shouldn't be doing. Sometimes you just got to learn through that on your own.
Yeah, no. It comes back to sometimes things have to click. You have to go through stuff. Like if we were able to actually just share the knowledge of the elders to the younger generation and that solved it, nobody has to go through life experiences anymore. The whole point of life, in my opinion, is to experience it. And you're not going to do that if you just say, if someone tells you, hey, by the way, jumping into off that roof onto a trampoline might not be a good idea. You're not going to know until you do it, right? And you miss out on a potentially cool story, a potentially bad story, but like you miss out on life at that point. There are limitations, if someone says 100% of people that jump out of an airplane without a parachute die, don't do it. You should probably listen.
Yeah, probably don't do that one.
But although I don't think it's 100%, I'm fairly certain people survive. But that is still not a recommendation to jump out of a plane without a parachute. Yeah, so there are some people that have survived because their parachutes fail and they manage to hit a bush or something, or they pass out and their body goes limp. So you're going to be more likely to survive. when you're limp. Yeah, it's happened. It's still a very small percentage, so don't try it.
Yeah,
please.
I was gonna say. I'm good.
Yeah, don't be too. But some things you have to live through. Some things you have to. But the important thing is for you as a friend or someone around them to at least voice a perspective and be there so that if they do decide to come back, because I feel like sometimes ostracization, like if you just cut someone off completely, puts them down a deeper hole of problems sometimes, because they now don't have, you might have been their only out. Sure, they didn't want you now, but if you can still leave that rope hanging over the well, they can climb out. Maybe they'll grab it in a year or two. So it's, at least that's been my perspective of trying. I've had some friends where I haven't talked to them in years because I said, hey, here's an ultimatum. You need to sort something out right now. But it's on you to sort it out. Here's my perspective on it. I'm not going to cut you off. I'm here for when you want to come back to talk to me. Some haven't talked to me again, but I've tried to at least leave that avenue open for them.
Which is, sometimes that's just all you can do.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard. It's,
yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to cut people off because for your mental well-being, you're like, I just need to get this out of here. Right?
Yeah. No, I've learned, and I don't know. I've learned throughout my life, I'm really good at detaching from people. But and I always tell my friends too, I'm like, look, if you hear me talking about what's going on, that's because I care. No matter what I say, no matter how passionate I am, I'm only saying it because I care.
Yeah.
Once I stop, that's because I don't anymore. Because I've tried and I've lost the feeling of empathy. And there's definitely times where I don't want to detach from people, but I've learned even with my family that there's just times where you just have to, I don't call it detaching or cutting off. I just call it loving people from a distance.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't like to, like using words like hate. Hate is a very strong word for me. I don't think there's anyone in the world that I hate.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think about it right now. Yeah, I couldn't really say that. And there's people I don't speak to anymore but most of them, if not all of them, I wish them. Oh, okay, maybe except for one of them. But most of them, I wish the best. I hope they find whatever they need in life.
Yeah.
I hope that if they have any issues that they heal from them. Because I think that's very important. It's to just be able to grow and move past certain things.
Yeah.
So that's just like where I'm at with it.
I think it's important to also realize that there are multiple different ways. I call it the dishwasher scenario of there are multiple ways to load a dishwasher. And guess what? At the end of the day, they're all going to get clean. But everyone has their own particular way of where things should go in the dishwasher, right? It doesn't mean the other person's wrong because they put dishes away a different way. So it's kind of this, it's like life too. There are multiple ways to enjoy life. My biggest thing is as long as the dishes are getting clean, and I reference a dirty dish as negatively affecting someone else's life. Minimize the amount of negative impact you have on other people's lives. I think it's okay to say, you know what, this person wants to live their life that way, then they do that, but we won't be able to live it together. And as long as that person's not ruining someone else's life, then I don't see a problem really in it. Right.
Right. That's the biggest thing too. Being able to get that, and just, there's even like people, one of the things too, I think like for me, is for people I love is like, if I love somebody, I also have to be willing to let them go because I want them to be happy at the end of the day. And maybe I'm not part of that equation. Yeah. I don't care. Because I just want you to be happy.
Right.
If you're happy, then that's what matters.
Yeah. No, again, good mature stance to have. I learned that from Pokemon when Ash had to let Butterfree go.
Wow. I remember that too. That's crazy.
Right?
And all the things you could have brought up that was like from that time stamp. It was that I remember. Yeah. That was an emotional day.
You got to let them go. It was very emotional. But it's true. If someone's happy, it's not really fair for you to tell them that they can't be happy. And if they got to do it somewhere else, it'd be sad for you. But yeah, for them, it is. We got deep. I want to bring it into. We got to get a little Rocket League talk. Well, it's still not even like Rocket League talk, but I want to talked to recently, because especially with like First Touch, all that past a little bit, you've been doing a lot more hosting, especially at LANs and stuff too. How have you found that, like jumping into that? Like, have you found that role to be much different than everything you're doing before? Like, I'm just curious.
Hosting First Touch and LANs?
Yeah, hosting First Touch. Yeah, again, recent LAN, like, well, few LANs. You've been doing the First Touch on LANs in front of people and stuff too, right? It's a thing.
First time we did it was in the last Winter Major. Oh god, I was so nerve wracked. That was like it was terrifying, mainly because no one would go inside to watch the match. We had it on our run of show that we wanted to show the crowd. So
you got to call this something that doesn't look that good.
Right. And I'm like, but instead we're just like, yo, everyone please go in and watch the games. We're glad you're out here. Watch the game.
Yeah.
So it was that was a very nerve-wracking day, the first day. But after that, and it's crazy too how unique it was because it was an outdoor desk and everything else.
Yeah.
But after that, I think it got a lot easier. And it has been a lot easier too. It all really just depends on the situations. Where the desk is. I mean, after LA, I didn't have to look at anybody anymore. Like while we're doing the desk work, all the audience just sits down and the desk is like facing away from them now. So you miss out on that. But sometimes, and initially, doing planning an hour of a pre-show did seem like a daunting task because we write the whole pre-show.
Yeah,
we write it
a long time. Yeah,
we have to write it. And we try to write it 2 days before, but sometimes you just can't predict what's going to happen. So most of the time it happens the night before. And we'll write it out. We'll send it to production. They'll tell us what we can and can't do. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go and we'll execute. And at first it was stressful because it was just a lot moving parts. You got to get people energized.
You're the pivot point.
Seeing.
It all comes around you.
Right, you're the first person they hear when the timer ticks down. So then you also got to say some cool shit. When
you got to say some cool shit.
you're like, we've got 12 teams, and we're gonna take it down to this many teams. This is lifting the trophy. You got to say something that sticks with people. So it's like doing all that. But once you kind of get it going, especially if we have like a good desk, which we've definitely had good desks recently. Yeah. The good desks, they'll run themselves at that point, which I love because then I can just be myself and actually give opinions and stuff. And
you're not worried about making the conversation keep going, right? Like, because it is going.
Right. Yeah. Right. The conversation's already happening on its own. I don't have to worry about time. Yeah. When I hear that I'm behind schedule, that's a great thing for me.
I like that better too.
Because then I'm like, right. Because I'm like, okay, cool. We're behind schedule. That's fine. We can just speed this up. Okay, we might skip this. That's okay. But as long as like that's going on, it has gotten a lot easier for me. Yeah. But of course that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you do have to, extend segments, or maybe you have a guest that this is their first time on and they're nervous. So you gotta get them more into it. Or maybe you have to do some a PR read and you're like, okay, let me read this PR read. And you got to make sure you read it right. Things like that. It does get tricky, and it's definitely a different mindset from actually casting matches. Because you're not worried about the flow. You're not worried about keeping people talking. Casting matches, you're just in the game.
Yes.
You talk about the game.
I was gonna say, do you bring your anger into flow state thing to the desk? I'm assuming that's different enough that you don't need to do that. Yeah.
No, not at all. The desk is more okay. We've got the sheet. I got the sheet up. Let's see. We got to hit these topics. How do I want to approach it? I feel like I have a little bit more. I won't say fun. I have the most fun casting, but I feel like I have a little bit more creative freedom.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then I can just approach something this way. I can pick who I want to answer the question, and then we just get the thing going.
Yeah, that's a big thing I learned too. Is like who trends towards certain types of answers, who like certain types of questions, who like certain types of topics, and you can then piece together the best possible version of the show as the host by calling on these people or prompting certain people for certain things. It's really cool how you get to kind of piece together that puzzle of a show.
Yeah. So it's been it was very challenging at first, but now I'm pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
with
you're
it.
killing it, man. Like it's awesome. That's why
Thank
I asked.
you.
You look super
I
comfortable up
appreciate
there. So it looked like you got into it pretty quickly. That's why I was like, looks like I was curious if you were having fun with it or what just in your general thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, everybody else is like so good at it that well, I don't try. I guess I don't try to emulate what goes on in the rest of the day, whether it's like you or Wavepunk or whoever's sitting in the host seat. I don't try to emulate
No,
that because it's
yeah.
first touch.
Yeah, it's first touch.
So
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's your own thing.
just doing first touch. So I feel like, yes, I am the host. I am kind of like directing things, but at the same time, I have an opinion just as much as these guys. So I'll take my time and make sure I can say what I want to say and add to that conversation too.
Did you ever catch yourself almost trapping yourself into like trying to emulate something else? Because like I feel like when you're being put into a role where other colleagues around have done stuff already, like again, I harken back to like my copying Chris Puckett when I first wanted to start learning how to talk better on a microphone. Did you find that you had almost trapped yourself into it and had to pull yourself back, like, no, do my thing?
For hosting, I won't say that specifically. But there was definitely some pressure because, yeah, I would talk to Wave a lot, and I would just be like, "Bro, this is fun, but this is kind of hard. Like, it's a whole different mindset, and you gotta like keep topics going and things like that." I think that I had my own difficulties that weren't necessarily related to emulation, but more just of like trying to make sure I kept up to the level that was already presented. The bar's like up here. I got to make sure I'm like up here or somewhere around it. So but for me, like I said, I'm a learner. So instead of just trying to figure out something on my own, I'm just going to talk to people. And then I'll talk to people, but also watch a lot of stuff too. So I'll talk to Wave and I'll be like, yo, like, it's hard. And then I'll be like, and then maybe it'll be something specific. I was like, yeah, this happened and I messed up this call. And just be like, dang. And then Wave would be like, yeah, man, that's hard. I did that too. And then Wave was kind of tell me something that he's like done before. And I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually not bad. And then maybe I'm like, maybe I might have to write something down. So then like I have extra notes and then things like that. Those types of things are the things that I'd say I'd focused on when I was kind of like learning to get to where I am at right now.
Yeah. No. Again, as I said, I'll just reiterate that you're killing it. So whatever you got yourself into doing, keep doing it.
I appreciate it.
It's good. And I think that's what's really cool. I brought it up on the podcast before, but I think it's really cool about our crew is that like everyone, it's a healthy competitiveness of like I forget who said it the best, but they. Maybe it was Wave, but he said like we all want to be, as an example, we all want to be the ones casting the grand finals. But if someone else is casting it, our initial thought is, hell yeah, they deserve that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we want to be there, but we're super excited and proud of each other when they're the ones doing the thing or excelling and succeeding at it, which is a really cool dynamic that I feel like you don't get in a lot of other crews like this.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who just did the most recent one, I can say that that's a very true statement. That's a very true statement. I was worried. I was really worried about that.
Yeah.
Well, we found out a couple. I talked about this on stream, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm not leaking anything, or maybe I am, and I'm leaking it twice. But,
it cancels out though because we do it twice.
Yeah, true. We found out a couple weeks before we went out that we were doing the finals, me and Stags. But this was before the travel problems happened with the Europeans. Like Johnny
Yeah.
So I remember I had initially talked to Johnny about it just because it was just good news. I just wanted to share it with a friend. And then I think he brought it up. Either he brought it up or I brought it up. But one of us brought it up where it was like, man, hopefully, the internet doesn't discredit the finals because Johnny Shogun aren't there.
Yeah.
And I remember Johnny being like, no, they won't do that. I don't think they will. Hopefully they don't. But even if they do, will definitely back you guys up because you guys worked hard for that and you guys have earned that spot. And Giant Shogun are people who advocate for other people to get grand finals because it helps the entire crew get better. We have a crew of people who all can cast in that environment. So the whole thing is like, why not put them in that environment if it's like a major or something? Like, why not give them that experience? So it was like seeing that, and then especially for me afterwards, I remember everybody I walked up to, and it was the same reaction. They all like looked at me like they were proud of me, and they gave me a hug.
Hell yeah!
And that was just like, and they were just like, man, you guys killed it, man. You guys did a good job. I remember that from everybody. And I'm definitely very thankful for that because it was, you just obviously a lot of people want to do something like that, cast a land grand finals in front of a big audience. And they all have their own reasons. I think for me, I wanted to do it if I felt like I earned it. And if I didn't feel like I earned it, everybody made me feel like I earned it. How supportive they were. So
you definitely did, though. I mean, that's not, I mean, you're as everyone else. I'm just gonna mirror what everyone's saying. Absolutely. I mean, if anybody tried to get up there and tell you didn't, then I don't give a shit. I'm going rampage on them because absolutely, you guys did, and you killed it. It was exciting. And again, as I said, I think just all of us were proud to see how fucking good you guys did.
Yeah, I mean, that was another thing too, was if you knew us back then, like if you worked with us, like Brody was there at the first land I ever casted in Wisconsin, like all those years ago. And that love, that growth. And seeing, I remember there was that whole thing before I got CRL where they were like, oh, Dazerin didn't get the rival series, blah, blah, blah. Then I got CRL and was on the CRL team for a little bit. Then I got the B stream, and then moving up until now, it was just there's so many people involved in that span of time that were all a reason why this happened. And that's something that, like, when I was there and we were about to go live, it felt like everybody was there. Even if you weren't in the building, it felt like you were there. At least to me, like I just felt like everybody was around me. That's cool. I think, like, I tell people all the time, the finals ended. I tweeted the video of me and Stacks hugging, and then the tears started coming, and then I went to the back into the green room, and it's just me and Stacks back there, and I'm just sitting in a chair, just hand on my head, just sobbing because I'm thinking about all of this stuff and how we actually did it. Yeah. Like we actually like made that happen. It wasn't bad either. Like it was good. Like we made it happen. It was successful. Like that was definitely something I always remember.
I'll tell you right now, no matter how bad, even if you think you ever did bad, it's never going to be as bad as me grand final season 2. So just know that. And secondly, yeah, man, you've been, I can't even fathom, man, how long you've been working for that. Because as you said, so long ago, you've been there since the beginning. Like you have been. Sure, you weren't on the first broadcast, but you've been there since the beginning. And now to have you up there is like that's so huge. Like I empathize with that, and I almost started tearing up. Right? It's like it's the coolest shit, man. And sure, you're thinking about all the people that helped get you there, but to think about it was you that got there, right? You got yourself there. You were one of those people, even if other people were around you the whole time.
Yeah.
So be proud of that. It's huge.
Yeah, it did feel like extremely validating. Like just years. It was like years of work, not only as a commentator, but as a person.
Yeah.
And all the challenges I faced in my life to lead up to that point, and to where I always thought, like, even up to it, like, man, something's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen. Like, there's going to be something that stops this from happening. This is too good to be true. Yeah. Yeah, just in my own head. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. It was real. We were standing there. I was just like, okay, here we go. And that really kind of validated a lot for me and made me feel like, maybe things aren't always as bad as I kind of think that they are sometimes.
It's easy to get in your own head.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. I, to this day, do it. It don't stop. That's for sure. It's actually interesting. I want to give you this perspective. I again, when I empathize and think hard about it, it's incredible. But I initially didn't even second guess it, because like in my mind, you've always been an RLCS grand finals level caster. So I'm like, oh yeah, of course it makes sense. Of course he's casting it. Right. But like, yeah. So like I didn't even, there was nothing out of place for him. I'm like, yeah, that's where he belongs. Of course.
And I think that there were other people who felt that way too. But a lot of people just didn't know that was the first time. Or there were a couple people who didn't know that was the first time.
Yeah.
Until it was like happening. Like unless you were like really like been with like me and Stacks for a long time, it was just like which I'm thankful for. I'm very thankful that, we've improved to the point where that's how people feel about us. But there was just like so much going on there too. And the people who really like knew it, like I know like D-Pants, for example, I love D-Pants. Yeah. He was one of those people who were just like, this is a thing, this is great. And I was just like, yeah, man. But also one of the cool things too is like I told a couple people, like it was like a first touch grand finals. You had T-Bates on the desk, you had me casting, you had Roll This coaching.
Yeah.
So everybody was in every position on it, which made it that much more special to me.
That's sick.
To be able to like share it with like again, Stacks is there. Like I said, T-Bates, Roll This is there. They're all these people who I've spent the most time working with, being there and sharing that with me. Now it sucks that Raw's team didn't lift a trophy, but they all worked really hard to get to this point. Everybody worked hard all the way up until that point. So it was just very, very special no matter what.
That would have been cool too, eh? And then going back to Bates, and then he talks about you casting Raul lifting the trophy. That would have been sick. Overall, it was still cool though. Yeah. I that's why I like talking about it too, and I wanted to. I'm glad we just got to it naturally, because I wanted to talk about that journey, because like if there anybody that is watching recently too, right? I want them to know the work you put in to get to this point. So it's super sick, my dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a long time.
You know what? Let's end on the triumphant note. I could talk to you for days, but let's end on a triumphant note. Let's end with that, because and the journey ain't stopping though. It's gonna keep going. But I want to say, dude, thanks for joining me, man. It was great chatting.
Yeah, of course. This was definitely a good conversation. I appreciate it. We talked about what mentality, life.
We got deep,
right? Rocket League. We started looking at our hands.
We went to some places here.
Right.
That's good stuff. Hey, well, again, thanks for joining. And again, anybody that wants to check this out on Spotify, it is on there if you're watching on YouTube. So make sure you go to Spotify and you can follow it. I think it's called Following on there. This all episodes will come out the second I'm done editing them, Sunday nights on Spotify. But I just put them up there. It's behind a paywall. Please don't pay that, because it comes out free on YouTube the next day, and then it becomes available on Spotify on Tuesday. So if you want to join the discussion in comments on YouTube, that'll be on noon Eastern time every single Monday, or as long as I can get an episode done. So I thank everyone for listening, Demar for joining me, and I hope to see all of you on the next episode. Thank you.
Toodaloo.